Welcome to the Hyper Growth Zone podcast. This is your go-to resource for personal growth, mastering communication, and influencing and persuasion techniques that will help you unleash the full potential of yourself and others. Here is your host, Alex Morgan.
Hello and welcome back. This is already episode 10 of the Hyper Growth Zone podcast. My name's Alex Morgan, and I'm a master trainer of hypnosis and NLP. And in this episode, we want to talk about stress. Now, you're a human being and you're listening to this, so I'm sure over some time you've had stress, you've experienced stress, or you certainly know someone who has stress. So we're going to go through and talk about different reasons why people have stress. So just see if you relate to any of these. And I'll also give you some ways, mostly through the power of hypnosis, that you can actually let go of stress. And in the description of this podcast, I will also post a guide that I have that are 5 things that you can do to get rid of stress in 2 minutes or less. It's super easy. It's actually based on a technique called autogenic training, and it's about producing feelings from within yourself that bring you out of the strategy of stress. Because if I can be completely honest here, most people who have stress, they're so used to having stress. They're just so used to it. It's a habit for them. So they actually keep running a strategy, meaning they're doing something in their mind that's leading to a specific result. So they keep doing something in their mind that actually leads to stress over and over. So people actually need something else to do to lead to a different result. So if we can change the strategy in our mind, then we can go without stress. We can instead feel something else, or we could do something else that doesn't feel like stress. So if you think that would be useful for you, go ahead and check out the description of the podcast. And that's 5 things that you can do to release stress in under 2 minutes or less. So there's plenty of reasons why you might be having stress. And one of them I've actually already touched on in an episode that I have on perfectionism versus excellence. So if you're a perfectionist and you're trying to do things in the most perfect way and you have to keep going over and over and it's still not how you want it, guess what? This can lead to stress. So if you're doing things in a perfect way, just beware. This might be the reason that you have stress. And the thing is with stress, I just want to share a little bit about myself. The thing is with stress is even if you've had it for a long time, all of a sudden, you don't feel it all the time, but all of a sudden it's boom, going to come up to the surface if you've had chronic stress, meaning you've had it for several months or more, and all of a sudden there's going to be some bad things that can happen. So me, for example, I actually have a history of having high blood pressure or hypertension, and I was taking medication, and I stopped taking it, and all of a sudden I had some things going on in my personal life. And then all of a sudden I could feel some tension inside of myself and I had some stress and my blood pressure just shot up. It was about, I think, 170, 175 over 120, 125, somewhere around there. So I actually had to go to the cardiologist, do all these things. Everything is fine. However, this is how important stress can be. Make sure that if you have chronic stress, that you're doing something like checking with a doctor. I can't offer any medical advice. Check with your doctor. Make sure your blood pressure isn't going through the roof. Make sure that you're also healthy. So if you're doing things in a perfect way, that's one reason to cause stress in your life. And this also has to do with the next one, which is work-related stress. So have you ever worked with that person? It's like they have a deadline and they're stressed out, so they're stressing everyone else out, or they have an overwhelming amount of work, or you feel like you're working and no one around you is helping you. Guess what? This can result in stress. And especially if you're in a job that you don't enjoy, then definitely that can cause you stress. Now, even me, I run my own business with hypnosis and NLP trainings. However, about a year or so ago, I was doing many tasks or creating a lot of content, and it was actually causing me a bit of stress, and I wasn't getting the results that I want. So I actually went to a hypnotist and I got helped. And one of the big things that I came away with when I connected with the resources inside of myself that they helped me do that, I thought, I'm not doing things that I actually enjoy in my business. I'm not creating content that I enjoy. So I stopped doing what I was doing and I started creating content that I enjoy. So that's why mostly now I create podcast episodes, I create reels, and I like to write. So that's why I also write books. And if you want my new book, go on Amazon. The Transformative Power of Suggestion, and down in the description will be my Amazon author profile. So if you're working and things aren't going your way, look at what you're actually doing in your work, your career, your business. Are you actually enjoying doing those things? If you're not, you can make changes in what you're doing, or maybe you need to actually delegate some of those tasks, because it's not going to do you any good if you're working so hard and at the end of the day, you're just stressed. And what is this going to maybe lead to? It could lead to relationship stress. So if you are working all the time and you're stressed, then all of a sudden you're going to be stressed in your relationships as well. And this could include problems with romantic partners, family members, friends. So then your relationships are causing you stress as well, because maybe you're not spending the right amount of time with them, or maybe they always see that you're stressed and you're not doing anything about it. And maybe you're complaining. And that's another thing that causes stress. If you're around people who are complaining, that's not going to benefit you in any way, because either you're going to get sucked in and start complaining with them, or if you hear their complaints over and over, it's going to annoy you and maybe cause you stress. So please make sure, if you notice this happening in your relationships, that you kind of guard yourself from the complaining, from these types of conversations, because as a human being, like I said, stress is very easy to be around if we don't recognize it. So if you recognize that other people are stressed, then you can easily become stressed. And the thing is, I have an episode as well on the power of communication and 2 things that you can do to master communication overnight. And one of the things you can do is build rapport. And in your relationships, you're going to have good rapport. So when you have good rapport with people, if they're in a negative state and they're stressed, you're more likely, because you're in a good rapport with them, to take on that state. So you need to be really careful in your close relationships if you're around people that are stressed, that you're able to separate yourself in a way, not from the relationship. However, have a little bit of distance, have some good boundaries, and know what you can do to not have so much stress in a relationship. So what else can cause stress? Well, I kind of got into this earlier with me and hypertension, high blood pressure. You can have health-related stress. So when there's health problems, or you have loved ones going through a health crisis, this can also be very stressful. And this could lead to chronic stress and other things. Or if you're having a surgery and you're worried about it, all these things can lead to stress. So just be very careful that if you are going through something health-related, that you're also not then adding stress on top of it. And that's why in this episode, I'm leaving that guide. So you have 5 things that you can do to release stress in under 2 minutes. And it'll be really, really helpful, because instead of creating stress, you're going to create other feelings from within yourself that are going to calm you, relax you, have you feel peace, have you feel calm. It's amazing. So make sure that you check that out. And another cause of stress that is really powerful, especially today, is people becoming overstimulated on things like social media or on apps in their news feed, through text, through email, all the digital notifications that we get. This can be overwhelming. It's like a constant barrage that comes after us all day long. So this can lead to stress. This can lead to burnout. Many times too, people will take, let's say, a break throughout the day or a lunch break or something. Oh, I'm going to go relax. And what do? They go on their phone and they turn on social media. However, you don't always know what you're going to see on social media, especially something like TikTok. Maybe you end up seeing someone you know or videos that you don't actually want to see, and those actually end up causing you stress. So be very careful of what content you're taking in. Me, myself, I more create content. I don't really consume that much content. I'm very aware of what I'm watching and what I'm putting in my mind through other content creators. So please, if you have stress from this, either put the phone totally away or set yourself a goal of how much screen time you actually want to have per day. Now, the other way to have stress as well is time-related stress. A lot of people, they have the attitude that they don't have an abundance of time, and they always feel like they're in a rush. So one of the things, this is a personal story of mine. I grew up in California, and now I live in Athens, Greece. So I live in a capital city, a big city. I can walk to many things. However, it's very busy. So I didn't live in a big city before. I grew up in Orange County, so, there's traffic and stuff like that. However, there's not a bunch of people walking around in a hurry. So one of the things that I had to do when I adjusted to the city life here is, you go outside and you see people in a hurry everywhere. They feel like they're in a hurry, even in the car, they're honking, all this stuff. You have to get used to it and not let it bother you. So when I started driving, I don't mind if someone honks or anything. I just go my pace at what I'm doing. I'm not in a rush. I don't care if someone else is in a rush. That's on them if they're in a rush. I refuse to let anyone else push me into a rush. If they want to put pressure on themselves to do a lot in a short amount of time, then they can take on that stress. I'm not willing to do that for them. And one of the other causes of stress is a lack of sleep. So sleep is really crucial for your overall health. And if you lack in sleep or the quality of sleep, this can actually lead to chronic stress or other sleep disorders. So not getting adequate rest can really cause stress in any individual. And one of the easiest ways to get better sleep is through hypnosis. And I have tons of hypnosis audios on our Athens NLP Studies YouTube channel, where you can listen to different sleep audios, different hypnosis audios to help you sleep. Or if you do have a sleep-related problem and you want help, go ahead and reach out to me, alex@athensnlp.com, and we can set up a time to chat so we can discuss how you can have better sleep. And another way that people have stress is a lack of work and life balance. So when there's no balance between how much you work and how much you're actually enjoying your life, and you're overworked and all of that, and you don't give yourself time to recharge, that can be due to stress. And you need to recharge in a strategy that's good for you. So usually people, they're either an introvert or an extrovert. Now, if you're an introvert, after a long, hard work week where you want that work-life balance, you need to recharge most likely at home with a loved one or just by yourself. If you're going out all weekend with a bunch of people, traveling, partying, doing all these things, you're just going to be in a constant cycle of stress without work-life balance. Now, if you're an extrovert, you may get stressed just sitting at home by yourself. So maybe you need to be around people to recharge. So just consider this as a strategy to really help you when you're trying to reduce stress when you have a problem with work-life balance. So those are some of the different things that cause stress. So what can we actually do to reduce stress? Well, I mentioned a few already. Make sure that you're not around people that are complaining. make sure that you're not trying to do everything perfectly, and definitely make sure that you're not comparing yourself to other people. So this also goes with the constant barrage of social media. That's where people are comparing themselves to others all the time. It's like a highlight reel. So if you're on social media and you find yourself doing this, turn off the social media, because when you're comparing yourself to others and you think that they're doing better than you, and maybe you think that you can't do that, that's only going to lead to stress. So there's many natural things that you can do to reduce stress, and one of those is hypnosis. And so an easy way to do that, of course, I'm going to put the guide in the description here, 5 things that you can do to release stress in 2 minutes. However, most people, they're used to that strategy of stress. So if I have a client come to me and I'm working with them on stress, they're so used to doing this strategy for stress that they never take time for themselves to relax. And you don't have to go into some super duper deep relaxation. You just have to shut everything off. Close your eyes for a few minutes. One good technique, it's like a power minute of self-hypnosis. So just listen to this. All you have to do is you use your index finger like a light switch. So point it up, and when it points down, you close your eyes and you just stop. You don't think about anything, and you just focus on your breathing. And after about a minute, that's why I call it a power minute of self-hypnosis, you lift your index finger up like the light switch turning on, and you open your eyes. If you do this when you first wake up, in the middle of the day, or anytime you have stress, and before you go to sleep, chances are your stress is going to reduce. People that relax, that's a completely different strategy than stress. And I've helped, I don't even know how many people reduce stress. So many people have done sessions, reduce stress, as well as listen to all the hypnosis audios that I have. So that's one way, the little power minute of self-hypnosis. I'm going to teach you something else though, because I said people are used to the strategy of stress. So let me show you the difference between tension and stress compared to relaxation. So whatever hand you want to use, either your left hand or your right hand, it's up to you. Make a really tight fist for 10 seconds. Just focus on making that as tight as you can for those 10 seconds. And notice how tense it is. It's getting tenser and tenser. Maybe even feels like stress. Now go ahead and release that. Let your fingers slowly go out, unmake the fist, and just notice the difference, how relaxing that is now, how your hand maybe just feels like it's light or heavy, or it's floating or sinking. Whatever it's doing is perfect for you. However, that's the difference between stress and tension and relaxation. It's a big, big difference. And you can do that just by tensing up your hand and releasing it. So just showing you that demonstrates that relaxation is probably a much better option for you. So you need to learn how to create different sensations with your body and mind. And that's one of the easiest ways to reduce stress. And the only reason I share this stuff is because it's backed by research. These are evidence-based procedures showing you how to reduce stress. And I share them because they're successful. I've used them, I've created content around them, and I share these with all my clients. So if they get stressed in between sessions, they have things that they can do to reduce the stress. So I know that there's going to be a guide in the description. However, let's do one of the things together. And this is how you do it. So you have a good explanation of how you do it. So an easy way to reduce stress. So just put your hands on your thighs and just relax for a moment. And tell yourself that your hands are warm and heavy. Your hands are warm and heavy. My hands are warm and heavy. My hands are warm and heavy. Maybe that's warmth, like the afternoon sun. Your hands are warm and heavy. My hands are warm and heavy. So what are we doing there? We're creating a different sensation from within. So instead of having that strategy for stress, we're interrupting that and we're bringing in a new sensation. So anytime you feel stressed throughout the day, you can either do the 1 minute power self-hypnosis with your finger as a light switch, or you can do one of the autogenic training exercises that I just went over, and that'll also be in the description box of the episode. So I hope this was helpful for you. If you do want help with stress, please reach out to me at my website, athensnlp.com, or at my email address, alex@athensnlp.com, or you can send me a direct message on Instagram at alexmorganhypnosis. And if you enjoyed this episode, please go ahead and give a positive review, a 5-star review, wherever you're listening to this episode. That'll really help me get this podcast to more listeners, and it would really help me create better episodes so I can see what you like and what you don't like. So if you leave feedback, thank you so much, and thanks so much for listening.